And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Teen use of e-cigarettes has fallen to a 10-year low. Now, the FDA says the rate of teens using vapes fell below 6% this year in their latest survey. That's down from 7.7% in 2023. We have with us James Gray, who is with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network's Government Relations Director right here in the state of Texas. So, James, we have some good news and also some news we still should be concerned about when it comes to young people and e-cigarettes. Tell us a little bit about the latest information that's available to the public when it comes to smoking.
Yeah, so it is good news in the sense of we have seen the downward trend in youth consumption of e-cigarettes, but that trend has been increasing significantly year over year after year. So some of the work that's been happening by the American Cancer Society, Cancer Action Network, but also through our lawmakers is starting to have an impact, but it's still a concerning number. It's still an epidemic. So I think what's important to be reminded of is, 1 in every 6 Texas youth are using e-cigarettes on a regular basis. And that's significant. And that's going to have a long-term impact on our ability to fight cancer and prevent cancer if we don't address this aggressively.
And when we say we have seen a decline, what do you attribute that decline to? Or maybe kids are just stopping?
So a couple of things. One is I want to kind of slice those numbers out a little bit. So the decline was primarily in high school consumption of e-cigarettes, uses of e-cigarettes. That middle school number hasn't really changed much. And we're still seeing a pretty significant number of youth using nicotine pouches. So there's progress, but when we look at all the things that we measure to look at the impact that tobacco is having on our youth, there's still some concerning numbers out there. But I do think a couple of things are happening. In our state in Texas, the state legislature made a significant commitment last session to address e-cigarette consumption among Texas youth. So they put money into tobacco cessation and helping kids stop smoking. Mm-hmm. But in places like Houston's been a leader in the fight against tobacco. They recently passed a ordinance or tightened up the ordinance that now include e-cigarettes in their indoor smoke-free laws. So they're denormalizing the use of e-cigarette usage, right? And that's really important. We know how to stop this epidemic. It takes resources from our legislature and organizations like ours to make sure we're doing the things that need to be done.
And of course, when we look at the numbers overall, I think you said 1.6 million young people are using e-cigarettes and or pouches. How did we get to that number? It's like mind-blowing that over 1 million, and you're saying middle school and high school.
Right. It's so a couple of things. I think Big Tobacco is very good about finding their next consumer. And these products, I expect that many people using these products do not understand that there's nicotine and tobacco in the product. And we got there because nicotine is so addictive. Once you start using these products, it's hard to stop because nicotine is so addictive. And it's as simple as that. It's Big Tobacco trying to reach that next audience, that next consumer, and they've done that well.
And of course, when we think about e-cigarettes, many people saw that as an alternative to smoking, and many don't realize it can be just as dangerous, right, when it comes to cancer, causing cancer.
So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a very important distinction. These are not cessation products. There's a lot of assistance out there for individuals that do not want to smoke or want to stop smoking. And we've got science that talks about the effectiveness of cessation programs that have been effective for more than a generation, and they should be taking advantage of that. This is not a cessation product, and it has nicotine in it, it has tobacco in it, and it will create a lifetime of addiction, which basically means we have another generation of tobacco users. And why that's so important for my mission or our mission is tobacco is the leading cause of cancer in Texas.
Absolutely. And for those who are wondering, have there been enough studies done just to prove the specific dangers of e-cigarettes? They haven't been around, I would say, about a decade now. Do they have enough studies out there to say this specifically is dangerous to you because of this? And you talked about the nicotine and the other problems.
Yeah, so very important question. It's important to understand that, you know, science takes time, but there's real science now that talks about the health implications. And a lot of that science is being done in Houston through your research facilities down there. So we've got enough data to really show that, more importantly, there are public health impacts of using e-cigarettes, but at the same time, there's no cessation benefit to using e-cigarettes.
All right. And of course, we want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. James Gray, the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network's Government Relations Director here in Texas. Thank you for joining us here on The Factor tonight.
Hey, thanks for giving this issue some airtime. Really appreciate it. It's important.